Hello, Steve White, Trickway89, Steve Arts 89. I don't know, I'm kind of interested in the little bit of footage we got from the director's edition of Star Trek The Motion Picture. We got a tiny little clip, literally about 10 seconds, one shot, the original version from the DVD, and one shot from the new 4K HD restoration. And it just repeats, one shot after the other just so you can compare them. And there's a huge difference. Now, when I first saw it, I thought they have softened that and darkened that and made the original shot look really bad just to make the new one look better. I went back and looked at the DVD. I'm like, oh no, it is that bad. I literally freeze framed the DVD and I'm like, did a screenshot and I'm like, wow, it really is that dark and dull. And it kind of made it mysterious back in the day because the Enterprise was sort of traveling through this sort of dark sort of tunnel inside, and there was like a light at the end of this sort of orifice, and it kind of worked. There was a little bit of light, a little bit of panels. You could sort of tell there was sort of detail in that. But in the new shot, not only is the Enterprise bright and white, and you can see it from a mile away and see the detail and everything. You can see all the walls, and it's all blue, and there's lines and lines of light and all that, which you couldn't see before, and that. And the orifice has more detail. It's not just like a square. It's got like different shapes that are sort of together, and there's just more detail. And I'm like, is this a restoration or is this a recreation? Because my understanding was they had designed all the effects that could have been done at 1080 or whatever size they wanted. They just had to put the time in to render it at that scale. But they didn't. They just rendered it at 480 or 720 or whatever it ended up being. And then they couldn't do the 1080 version. So I'd always heard that they had all the original files and all they had to do was go in and re-render it. And I thought that's what they were doing. They were just going to go in and finally spend the time to do that and maybe just finesse them a little bit, zhuzh them up a little bit. But when you look at it, it looks like they've redone everything. Or maybe they took the original models and actually went over them again rather than just re-rendering them. So it does look amazing, but it does take a little bit away from the feel, because I remember that scene where you just saw the Enterprise just sort of going through this dark sort of tunnel with spikes, and it was sort of passing through the spikes that you were looking past, and you were sort of standing down and looking up, and it was sort of dark and mysterious, and it kind of worked because most of it was pretty bright and well lit, and I'm wondering how consistent that's going to be with the other parts inside the ship and the external of the ship, and how is this going to affect things like the Starfleet shots? Because the only shot in that film that didn't work, there were three shots of the air tram going into San Francisco Bay, into the air tram depot and Starfleet Academy, or was it the Academy or Starfleet, either way. They made the mistake of using a digital camera and going out in person and shooting the plates, and they literally just went and stood on the hill looking over the bay and just took a photo. So instead of being a picture in space, in air, where you've got the dimension of looking down from just the middle of floating in the air, they actually had it from the other side of the bay, and it looks really flat. And they used a digital camera, so it's got that really horrible 2000 flat sort of quality digital camera work had back then, where it just looks sort of it's hard to describe. It just looks bad, and they just put digital elements over it, and it just looks awful. The other two shots that they showed of the bay from a distance, which were digital shots, they looked okay, but none of them had the dynamic sort of angles and feel of the original matte shot and the other matte shots that were attempted and the drawings that were done for the storyboards that weren't completed. So I'm hoping they really do a better job on that and actually create a whole new 3D model and show the bay from like you're sitting in the air watching the air tram go past, and just to have those dynamic sort of angles and that sort of widescreen beautiful sort of feel that the original ones had, not what they sort of put in the director's edition. So I'm hoping the fact that this looks like they've redone this effect, they're not just going to reuse that shot and make it 4K and upscale. It looks like they are actually redoing it. So I really want to see that shot that wasn't used from a distance, looking up and just seeing the shuttle go just into the last little part of the bay. I really wish they would just fix that and use that, because that shot was mostly done. I just don't think it was finished. So I have bigger hopes now for the effects, because some of it wasn't great. Most of it was great, but some of it wasn't great. And if they were just going to re-render it, it would be be more true to the version we saw, but it wouldn't be as good as it could be. So I'm feeling a bit more optimistic about it now. But I'm going to go, because I've been talking for 10 minutes, or 5 minutes, sorry. I don't want to go to 10 minutes. And yes, only 10 seconds. But it's looking good, so I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. I'm feeling very hopeful for it.